Hello and welcome to episode 201 of the GoTechnology hub2 video tutorial series. In this video, I'm going to go through the process of creating a digital document. Now, digital documents are the way that you convert a static document into an intelligent document, which you can use in Hub2, which you can fill in online or you can fill in through the mobile app. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through the process of creating an ITR in here. You can also put in things like handovers and preservation, etc., etc. I'm going to use one which is a little bit more complicated because that's probably going to be the best way of showing you how to overcome some of the design choices made on ITRs. If you are using our set of ITRs, the wood set of ITRs, these are all already available for you. But if you're using your own, or you're creating one from scratch, hopefully this video will be helpful. So if we go into reference tables and ITRs, this information's already all been loaded in, which you can see me do in previous videos in the 100 series. So here is our instrument loop test. And you can see here, you might not have permission to do this. You'll need to get that permission. And if you do have that permission, you'll see a variety of buttons there. These sign-offs have been populated already because we've got our default sign-offs set up here. That's them there. If we wanted to change these because they weren't what the actual sign-offs were in the document, we can just edit them. So if we have a look there, and again, that was something that I did in one of the previous videos. So if we go and have a look at the bottom and see what our sign-offs are, completed by, accepted by, approved by, which is exactly what it is there. So we don't need to make any changes. So once we've hit create document, we'll just wait for the screen to load, and you'll see that there's about 6 different tabs in there. So the header section is what is going to be a pre-populated information that's going to be in here. Then the header table is what we would use for populating this information here, which is the list of loop components. And then the tasks is the part that we actually want the user to be able to interact with. So we want people to be out in the field with their mobile devices, ticking off these tasks. That's the task section. And the sign-offs is what you would expect, which is the final sign-off section. We've got a settings tab here, which at the moment gives you the options of portrait or landscape format, and then there's a preview. And you can see that at the moment it looks very, very blank. So let's change that by adding in some data. Now I'm going to go the whole way through this, which means it might be kind of a boring video. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a little setting where you can watch it at double speed and it will be slightly less boring. But I'm going to go all the way through it because I assume if you're watching this video, it's because you really want to know how to do it, and it might be helpful to watch me go all the way through it. So we'll start off by adding in some header rows. So I've gone and added a row. The first row is obviously this one. So that's got 2 columns in it. So we've got loop number and pack number. So you can see that I'm just going in and adding in that information there. And then I can choose what the bookmarks are in there. So this one's going to be the loop name. It's obviously called loop number here, but for us, any identifier is called name just for consistency. So yeah, that's something that you'll notice in there. So if we go tag loop name, and in terms of choosing what it is that you want to use as a bookmark, it can seem a little bit overwhelming at first, but you can always reach out to us to understand a little bit more about that. But basically, we know that the tags have the loop field on them, and that the loops have names. So that's how we get to what it is. But usually, if you just start typing in what you want, it'll kind of come up with some suggestions for you. So for this one, for example, we wanted to have it as a work pack name, so we can just go with job card work pack name. And then we can go in and add another row. There's an option here to go repeat rows on new page, which basically means that if these tasks go to a second page, we could then have this header, or however much of a header we wanted, just appearing there. There's also this editable tick box, which I'll go into a little bit later on as we get through it. So we'll move on to the next row. So this is a process which is kind of time consuming. That's just the nature of the beast. Hopefully you're not going to be always every project creating new sheets of ITRs, new preservation work list, new whatever. Hopefully you're going to have that kind of consistency in there. So this is going to be something that you'll do once and then you won't ever have to do it again. If you're not doing that and you are changing them all the time, then it's possibly something where you should be kind of reviewing why that is the case. So if we go in and we'll do the subsystem number. We just want to go with And in fact, what I'll do right now is I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to resume it when I get down to this test equipment part. So through the magic of editing, we now have those first 7 rows in there, which you can see up here. So you can see these are the bookmarks I've used for each one. And one thing that's worth noting is the description there is this row here, and you can see it takes up the whole of the row. So the way I've done that, if we go down to row 4, you can see these ones have 2 columns each. But if we go down here, you can see that one just has that 1 column. So what we'll do is we'll just save that. We'll put in the revision comments, which is updated at Rev 6. There we go. So that's good. That's saved now. And what we'll do is we will add in this last bit here, which is the test equipment. So that's obviously something, or maybe not obviously for depending on what your background is, but that is something which would be filled out at the time. It wouldn't be automatically populated. So what we'll do is we'll make that an editable one, which means that people can go in and fill it out. Now, there's not a way within the digital document section of putting a header on top of a header or putting in a completely blank row in there. So what we'll do instead is we'll type out test equipment make. So we'll eliminate this line here and we'll just go test equipment make and we'll go editable and then we'll add in model. And then that means when we've got it as editable, that people can actually fill this in at the time. So we'll show that a little bit later on. And we've got expiry. And we'll just save that as revision 0 again. The only times you need to change the revision is if there's been something that we would class as a major change in there. So when you're updating headers and things like that here, that's not going to be a major change. It's going to be when an actual task, the type of a task has been changed or any tasks have been added or deleted. And the reason behind that is obviously that's a fundamental change to the check and you don't want people to suddenly have a different check sheet appear. So it would mean that any existing check sheets or whatever the digital document is would continue to use the revision that they had when it was created, so like revision 0, and any new ones would use revision 1 or whatever, just so it doesn't change in the middle of somebody executing the scope. So that's that. We've got that in there, and if we go back up top, you can see that these ones are all marked as editable, so we'll just save it again. And then what we want to do next is we want to add in this list of loop components. So if we go to add new table in there, and we can put what's in here, which is list loop components, C sheet 2 for results. So we'll put that in there. Table bookmark option is going to be loop tags. And then for our labels, what we're going to want to put in is tag number. So we're not going to use this item box here. There's not a way of putting in just numbers, and to be honest with you, I'm not sure it's 100% useful. Actually, I tell you what we'll do instead is let's go as loop, and we'll put the loop element in there. So if they are going to number it, and there's a reason for those numbers being that it's in the order of the loop elements, we'll just do that instead. So that'll be a little bit better. So we'll go tag number, and we can choose the name that's going to be. Oops. And then we'll add in a description. Oops. There we go. And the last one is range setting units. Now what you put in there might vary. I'm going to go with comments, and then if there's anything they want to put in there, they can just put it in the tag comments field. We'll save that again. So we've got, this is a validation error which says that the table header cannot be more than 50 characters, and it's currently 57. So let's edit that, and we'll put list of loop components. Test results. P2, let's see that. Okay, so that's got us that. So now we've got that in place, we can go to the preview and just have a look and see what we've got. So here we go. Now, it's important to note, as it says here, that the preview is just for demonstration purposes. So the actual layout of it will be a bit different. It'll size all the way across, for example, but it is just for that kind of quick preview. So if we go into the task section now, first thing we've got to do is choose our checkbox options. So that's what these things are here. So we'll go with OK and APL. Let's have a look and see what we've got, how many we're going to need. So we've got 20 tasks in there at the moment, but we're also going to need an extra one for this table here. So what we'll do is we'll go add new tasks, add multiple tasks, and then we'll go with 21, add multiple tasks, 21. And it's going to automatically number them for us down all the way down to 21. We want the numbers to actually match this, and they haven't in this document here, they haven't actually chosen any sort of number for that one. So what we'll do is we will rename that just to T for table, and we will. You could also use A or B or C, whatever you want to do. I'm just going to go with T there, and it's above 13. So if we just drag that up there. Let's move it a couple more steps up to there. So now that'll appear there, which is what we want. You can see here there's a few different options we've got. We can add a title, which we'll be doing later on for one of the ones down below. We can choose whether it's required or not. If there's, for any reason, you've got an optional task on there that they could just leave blank, you could do that. We're going to leave them all as required because that's always the safest way, and because our check sheets, the way they're set up here, have this NA in there, so you would just mark it as NA. So you've got a bunch of different options in terms of what type of task it's going to be. So checkbox, signature means putting a name in, and then the various combinations, date, tables, you can put images, you can do multiple choices as well, or you can have none for something which is just like a big box of text. So maybe experiment around with them, maybe in your sandpit area, create a digital document with all the different types in it so you can see. But what we'll do is we will go through and we will populate out some of these right now. So the first one we're going to want to do is to do this, and it is a case of going through and copying and pasting these in here. So some of these are quite long, so it'll be interesting to see if they all fit in. So got number 3 there. Go down here. Once we get to number 7, we'll have something a little bit different to do. So just copy that. And then 5. Oops. That's 6. Now for number 7, what you'll see here is confirm air or hydraulic supplies set correctly and live for the device in the loop. record supply and type, and then it's got a little bit there where if this was a paper form, somebody would write something in. So the way we want to set that up, if we just copy this here and we go to number 7 there, and we'll just put a column there. The way we want to set this one up is we go to the comments, which at the moment is no comment, and we change that to inline comment. And then what you'll get is like a little box that they can fill in. So if we go to the preview, because it's a little bit, you're not going to be able to see it on the preview just because of the size of the screen, but we'll see it when we generate it out later on. And that'll give us that little box to fill in. So now if we go on to number 8 here, we'll put in there. Now for number 9, you can see that there's actually a line that comes above it. So we'll go and put this in here, which is with power applied, check the smart instrument configuration, and then we'll add a title to it. So the title basically gives us this line here, which is a bolded line that goes above a task, and then if you wanted to get rid of it, you could click remove title, and that's that. And for the 10, we're going to have another one which has an inline comment on it, because we can see there it's got that little line where somebody would write something in normally. So we'll put that there, and we'll choose inline comment again. And then 11 and 12 are standard ones, and then we're going to get onto that table. So there's number 11, it's number 12. Now we have our table. So if we go and select that and we say to table, what it'll say is that the task has to be saved before the table can be configured. So basically what that means is we've got to go through and populate the rest of them, and then we can go back and do that, which is one of the ways it works with tables. So we'll go and just do the rest of them. In fact, what I'll do is at this point I will pause it, and then we'll come back when I've done the rest of them. Okay, so again, magic of editing. I've done those now, so let's just save it. Okay, that's all great, that's worked. So if we go back up, and we'll just do a quick preview so you can see that we do have all of those in there, and you can see that's where that title goes. And you can see at the moment the area where the table would be is blank. If we go back to the tasks, we'll go in here down to that table, and now you can see that we've got add title there and configure table. So there is actually a title. I could have put that in before, but I'll just do it now instead. So we go to add title, I'll put the title in there. I'll just save it again just to be on the safe side. There we go, and then we'll go to configure table. And what we can see here is that we've got kind of 4 headers, but then it actually changes a little bit. So it's actually a little bit different. So the best way to figure it out, well, what do I want to do here, is to count what the maximum number of cells is going to be. So we'll go add new row. And we know for this one we've got rising, falling percent, trip, and alarm. So we'll go with rising. In there. So this is going to be our header, so we can click the is header in there, and it's static text, so you've got a choice of static text, prefix, or suffix. Static text means like this and this for a header, or anything which the user's not going to be putting anything in, so nobody's going to be typing into that one there, so that's static text. And then prefix and suffix means that it would put text before. So for example, if we had something in here that was like, if that was called voltage instead of comments, it might be that everything has like a V at the end of it. So if we went to, let's just go like that. So if something had like that, you know, it was already laid out like that, that would be the suffix. And if you had something before it, would be the prefix. So that's just how you can do that. And again, it's good to kind of try and play around with these things, so you can try for yourself. So if we just go back down now, so like I said, we've got 4 things here, but we know that later on we've got more rows. So I'll just show you how to do that in a second. And we'll put that there, and then we're going to add a new row in. And this one we're going to mark as is header as well, which is just going to highlight it as bold. Because yeah, it does basically have two headers. So you can see that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and they're a little bit different in widths as well. So that one's obviously a bit bigger. So if we go and put in 13 of these cells, so that's 4, 5. Now, I am going to go through and do all of these. I'm not going to skip it just because, like I said, this is part of um, the process which people can sometimes get a little bit confused about, understandably. So we will go through and we'll do all these just to show you how that's going to work. And what I'm going to do in a second is I'm going to show you the error message that would come up if I just tried to save it as is. So 75. 25, 0, rising, falling. Now, technically, we might want to put some kind of comment in there, like it is a blank row here, so we can do that. We can just go and click editable, and that would be fine. So let's just save it though, and so I can show you some of the errors. So this is the one which I wanted to show you. The total cell width on row 2 does not match the first row's total width of 4. So what do we mean there? Well, what we mean is if you count the widths here, 1, 2, 3, 4, but if you counted the widths here, because we've got 13 and they're all set at 1, that's going to be 13. So 4 and 13 don't equal the same amount. So basically, it's up to you to choose how you want those to appear. And in this case, what we want to do is we can see that most of these ones are the kind of the same size. This one's actually a bit bigger though. This one's probably maybe like 2 or 3 times. Let's say it's 3 times as big as the other ones. So that is now going to give us a width of 14. So we have to make this top part equal 14. If we have a look though, let's have a look see. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's actually about the 5.5 mark is where we want it to do, and we can't do that. So what we probably want to do instead is we want to change these to 10. So if we go with 10, 10, 10, oops. And the reason we want to do that is that these are all kind of relative widths. So all that really matters to us is the total number. So if we go 10, 10, 10, it's not going to make it go massively off the page because these numbers are just relative. So, you know, it could equal a million, it could equal, you know, 10, 300, whatever you want it to. It doesn't actually matter. It just matters, well, how much space do I want it to take up? So that means that we can then say, well, we want this to be 55, and we want this to be 55 as well, just because it's 5.5 units along, 5.5 columns long. So we'll go with 55. So that would give us 110. And I think we said it was 140, didn't we? So what we'll do there is we'll go and put this one as 10. We'll try that. I'll see if my maths is up to scratch. I'll put that one as 20. Let's see. Am I going to be right or am I going to be wrong? I see. Wrong. Terrible. So let me just figure out how long. You're probably screaming at the computer or at your phone right now of what the answer actually is. Of course, 150 is. So if we go 20, 20, that one there. Hey, there we go. Took me a little second there, but managed to get it in the end. So you can see now when it's laid out, it actually does match that kind of layout there. And what we did was we took this number and we times it by 10 so that we could get that kind of half step in there. And then once we'd got what we wanted for the most amount of rows in there, then it was just a case of, okay, well, for the ones which have got lesser columns, what numbers do we need to do to make the layout appear correct? So yeah, that's pretty much that. So hopefully that made sense. And if not, you know, don't worry about it. Actually, what I'm going to do here though is I'm actually going to adjust that because I actually went with 10 and 30 for for the last bits, didn't I? So it would be good to, no, actually that's probably about right. Yeah, I think that's probably going to be okay. We can always go back and change it later anyway. So now we've got that in place. All we want to do is add a whole bunch of empty rows, which is nice and straightforward. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we can just go add empty row. We'll take off is header because it's not. And it's just going to be, it's going to use those same widths we had before. So add empty row 3. And there we go. So that's that done. So we'll go save. Like I said, the layout might not be perfect, but we can always go back and change it if we need to. So that's pretty much that done. So let's have a look and see. Yeah, so I can tell there that's actually not right. So what we'll do here is we will change that. So we'll change that because it's actually that should actually be 4.5, not 5.5 there. So we'll go 4.5 here. And we'll just change that one to 30 instead. And I'll just go through and change the other ones quickly. So we'll change that to 15 and that to 15. I'll just pause while I do the other ones. And there we go. I'll just save that. Oops. Need to change that to 20. Get my maths right again. All right, great. So if we go back to the top now, we'll just check the layout. That looks a lot better. That looks like what we want it to. So if we go to edit full document. So that's the actual layout of the ITR done, but let's have a look and make sure that it appears properly. So we can generate out as a PDF. That's one way of checking the layout. The other way would just be to actually kind of assign it to something. So we'll do that as well. I'll just generate out now. You can do the preview again, but we'll just go download a template and we'll just open it up so we can see. Now it's not going to look exactly the same, but hopefully it shouldn't look too far away. So we'll just wait for that to come up. And we'll just zoom out there. Zoom in a bit more. So if we go back to the top here, we can see, confirm all that. We can see all the bookmarking. So you can see there the test equipment part's a bit different. We don't have anything listed in the loop components table, but that will populate down if you had loop components assigned to it. But obviously we're just doing it as a blank template. And then for number 7, where you've got that comment bit in, you can see there that would be there. We've got those header bits in there. And after much labor by myself in terms of getting my maths right, you can see that this part is now appearing as it should do, and then we've just got a comments box that just fills up the rest as it needs to there. And what we'll do now is I'll quickly just create it in hub2 itself, so I can show you what it looks like on screen. So we can extend that now. We'll go into certification, and if we add an IO 2B. I don't know if we'll have anything in instruments. Let's see if we've got. Yeah, we've got some stuff in here. We've got foundations. These are more civil works, but we'll just go with. We'll just choose this one. It's just an example. So there we go. So now what we've got again, we could generate out again, which if we wanted to do. That we could do, but we're more just interested. This video is kind of in creation, but I'll just show you what it would appear like on screen, just so you can see that. And obviously you can put it into the app as well, but we'll do the app in a different video. So here we go. We can see the ones which are editable. We've got fields that we can type in there, and then down here we've got our kind of tick boxes. There, OK, and APL. We've got for number 7, we're going to have a place where we can record that information. And then when we go down to this part here, that gives us our table. Anyway, that is the process of creating digital documents. So hopefully that's been helpful, and thank you for watching.